From KPFK in Los Angeles, California, Valley Free Radio in Florence, Massachusetts, WNUC in Detroit, and BikeTalk.org worldwide, this is Bike Talk.
Bike Talk.
Welcome to Bike Talk. I'm Taylor Nichols.
And I'm Nick Richard.
Hey, Nick.
How you doing?
I'm doing better now, put it that way.
You had a day?
I had a day today. You know, I'm on the bike trip, and I had to be at a certain place at a certain time, and I kept thinking I'm going to make it, but the headwinds were tough, and the hills along the coast are tough. You know, it's a lot of up and down, wow. Which is just makes you batty after a while.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you find yourself, I don't know, more emotional or just sort of in a state these days now that you're on your trip?
You know, I think a state is a good way to put it. I really do, because I've been trying to keep a journal. And I've been meeting people and talking to them for Bike Talk, and we have some today, which is one of the really fun parts. But I find myself in this kind of simplified, I got to set up the tent, I got to do this, I got to get up this hill to get to that next town. And there have been some long climbs. So I don't know what you mean by being in a state, but that's what I feel. Was that comprehensible at all?
I don't know, maybe you're in a state.
Yeah. Today, I actually got very lucky. I got into a situation where I had to be at a certain place to meet a friend who's going to join me on this trip. And I wasn't going to be able to ride there in time. And I had to figure out how to get there so that he didn't travel all this way and then have to wait for me. And there was no train, no bus, you know, all those, and then no rental car. I found myself at the end having to hitchhike. And I just stood there with my bike and my thumb out, hoping a truck would come by with an empty bed and, you know, say, hey, where are you going? And I'm going north. And little by little, the weather got worse. It got colder, it got windier, and then it started to rain. And just as it was raining, this woman rode by on this really sweet bike. It was an e-bike, and she was a couple years older than me, I guess. And she said, you know, how you doing? And I said, I'm okay. And she said, you know, where are you going? And I told her, I said, I'm just going up the coast so I can get to Eugene. And she said, well, get on my wheel. Let's go. And, you know, that's my thing, right? I'm sorry. I'm telling you this long story, Nick. Only to say it started pouring raining, and she led me a good 5 miles on the road. And then she said her partner is behind us in their trailer, and that when she caught up to us, they'd give us a ride. And sure enough, 5 minutes later, Cindy pulls up in the trailer, and they put my bikes on the trailer, and we drive 10 miles to where they're camping. But then she goes beyond that and drives me to where I can get the bus to where I have to be tomorrow. Long story. I'm so sorry for that.
This is what it's about. Yeah.
Yeah. And she was, Sherry is her name, and she was, well, I have some sound. Should I just play that?
Yeah.
Okay.
My friends are all home.
A few weeks ago on the show, Lindsay ended the show with the quote that bike people are the best people. Well, I have to second that notion 100%. I was on a little bit of a time crunch today and had to figure out how I was going to get another 60, 80 miles up the road. And the weather was turning bleak, and I decided I needed to hitchhike. And I was standing out in the cold, and it started to be the rain, and no cars picked me up. But you know who picked me up was a biker, and her name is Sherry, and she is a guardian angel. Sherry, thank you for breaking the wind from me for a while, but then for having Cindy pick us up. You really are a guardian angel.
Well, thank you very much.
Well,
my pleasure.
You not only pick up random cyclists on the side of the road, but you've ridden across the country.
Yes, I have.
Tell me about that. Yeah.
2016, we left from our home in Salem, Oregon, and did the upper tier route of the
Transamerica route.
Transamerica, Highway 2, all the way to Acadia, Maine.
And now you're on a little road trip, and you're biking while you're on the road trip.
Yeah, we just do kind of small little trips from our house, and I always bring my bike along, and if the mood fits me, I get on my bike, and my partner picks me up down the road.
Yeah. And today you were doing it in the rain.
It wasn't raining when I left, but I was prepared for the rain. And it wasn't raining when I came across Taylor as well, but it started raining shortly thereafter.
Well, you really did save me because I didn't know what I was going to do. You're riding an e-bike. When did you switch over from a regular bike to an e-bike?
I switched over 3 years ago. I still have my old bike that I ride when I'm not riding with anybody else.
Right.
But I ride with friends that are 10 to 15 years younger than I am, and in order to keep up with them on the hills in Oregon, I got the e-bike.
Well, it's a beautiful e-bike, and you were riding hard when I was trying to stay on your wheel, and I couldn't stay on your wheel all the time, but you were still pumping pretty hard.
Well, I was still using a little power when that happened. You know, before I met you, though, we had such a tailwind that I was still being able to cruise at 19 to 20 on the flats without using any power.
I know. That's a blessing.
So yeah, because I only have a limited range, because I only have a 250 watt, and it is class 1, and it'll only go up to 20 miles an hour with the assist mode.
Right. Well, we've been talking about that a lot on the show, and I am 100% for e-bikes. I just think they get more people on bikes and get people biking more, and they rescue people like today.
Yeah, it was, as I said, my pleasure. I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Well, not only did you rescue me on the bike, you then are driving me another 30 or 40 miles out of your way.
Probably about 60.
To get me in a situation where I can go meet my friend on schedule. And so I can't thank you enough. And bike people really are the best people.
Yeah, it's no problem. I pick people up off of the Pacific Crest Trail as well.
Yeah, hikers. Yeah.
Yep, done that several times.
Well, Sherry, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Props to Sherry and Cindy, who really got me out of a bind today.
Wow,
Saved my life.
Like you had no other way, right?
Right? Yeah. But one of the interesting thing is, and you know what Sherry said? I said, can I buy your gas, blah, blah, blah. She said, just pay it forward. And I think that that's a really good lesson that I hear.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what you expect to hear on these things. It seems like of my impression, not having done it.
Right.
To meet these people who do these things.
Yeah. Oh, on that note, I got to tell you, I met this other guy, Henry, when I was just leaving a town on this great little trail, and he was stopping to help a woman who had fallen. So let me play that really quick.
Yeah.
So I left Eureka, California this morning, and I found a trail really beautiful right along the coast. It's overcast and kind of cloudy today. And I came across a Good Samaritan who was helping a woman who had fallen down in the street. She was in the middle of nowhere. And Henry had stopped his bike ride to help her out. When the ambulance came to pick her up and take her away, Henry rode with me a little ways on this trail, and he's an energy expert. Henry, welcome to Bike Talk, and tell me a little bit about what you're doing making sustainable energy in Eureka, California.
Well, we're doing energy efficiency projects for residential homes throughout the county, mostly hard-to-reach places. And we're going to be doing some heat pump water heater installations.
Yeah, explain what that is, because you told me, and that just sounds fascinating.
It's some space-age technology. Essentially, it's like a reverse air conditioner is the way I explain it. And it'll take latent heat from the outside, no matter how cold it is out there, and it'll heat your water tank. And
even in the wintertime?
Even in the wintertime, with, some exceptions. If it gets below freezing, you have some issues. But it'll heat your water tank to, as hot as you want it to get, and it's about twice as efficient as a normal gas heater.
Wow, that's great. And also, I might add that you just got a bike.
I just got a bike 2 weeks ago, yeah. I'm celebrating Bike Month out here and gaining some points for a little contest we got at work.
Which is what, riding to work every day or something?
Yeah, joyrides too, and that's why I'm out here today on a Friday. Actually, this is my
are you skipping school here? What's going on?
No, I just got a new gig. It's a 4-day work week, which I'm pretty stoked on.
Perfect. Well, Henry, thanks a lot, and thanks for the tour of this bike trail. It was really amazing after being on the 101 for a little bit yesterday. It was just so nice to be away from all the cars, and it's just a beautiful overcast area. You said this is a spit right here. That's like a little island?
Yeah, this is where the Mad River meets the Pacific Ocean. There's like a little sandbar out there. It's too bad it's overcast today because there's some really awesome views up ahead.
Right. Well, thanks, Henry.
Thanks, Taylor. It's super awesome to meet you out here.
So bikers are good people, Nick.
As we know.
Yeah.
Let's do Stacey's news.
Beautiful.
I'm Stacey with this week's news. From the League of American Bicyclists, the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee released its proposed legislative language for the next 5-year surface transportation reauthorization bill. Our first look at how Congress is approaching transportation issues. There's some good news, some bad news, and some ugly. Among the good, safe streets and roads for all is preserved in this reauthorization draft, and the bill includes language moving bicyclist automated emergency braking closer to being required in new cars. But there are bad and ugly items like the repeal of the Active Transportation Infrastructure Investment Program. You can find an excellent summary analysis at bikeleague.org. From MassBike, Massachusetts Governor Healy has filed an act to enhance the safe use of micromobility devices to tackle the confusion we're seeing related to scooters, e-bikes, mopeds, and the various personal mobility devices that vary in speeds from skateboard to e-bikes to electric motorcycles. You can read more about it on MassBike's website, and we'll be sure to cover how this progresses through the legislative process. In San Jose, California, they're looking at how to regulate food delivery robots that could operate in city bike lanes. The city's Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee discussed the idea last Monday. There is no permit for the robot delivery yet in San Jose. Some cyclists are concerned while others don't mind and are looking for the details on how this would be implemented. And from LAist, Los Angeles won more than $100 million from the state of California in 2022 and 2023 to improve crosswalks, bike infrastructure, and general mobility in historically underinvested communities. But now city officials say they don't have enough people to implement the 3 projects in time. To retain the entirety of the grant funding, the city has requested a 6-year time extension on state-mandated deadlines to complete pre-construction of the projects in Boyle Heights, Skid Row, and Wilmington. The city needs the California Transportation Commission to evaluate its request. If it doesn't grant the extension, the funding allocated for the initial phase of the 3 projects would lapse, and the city would have to find another source of funding to complete the work and progress to the next stage. Failure to meet the deadlines will have a significant impact on the city's ability to secure transportation funding from the state.
All right, now I have an interview with Dixon Galvez-Searle of the Southwest Collective in Chicago. And I talked to Dixon about this redesign that's going on of Archer Avenue in Brighton Park in Chicago.
Great.
Okay, we have Dixon Galvez-Searle from Chicago. Dixon, I was told that you're the person to talk to about Archer Avenue. Can you tell me what's been going on and what's happening now?
So Archer Avenue, for people who aren't familiar with it, is a major arterial road on the southwest side of the city of Chicago. And because of the industrial layout of a lot of the southwest side, it really is the only street that goes through and connects a lot of neighborhoods on the southwest side. It also has been treated like a highway by a lot of folks. And so you've seen a lot of speeding. You've seen a lot of people come off of I-55, which is the nearest highway, to use Archer Avenue as a shortcut to get to the suburbs or places further on the southwest side. You've seen a lot of dangerous driving behavior. And as a result, of course, you've seen a lot of crashes, injuries, fatalities for everybody, especially people on foot or people who are biking or riding scooters, but also for people who are driving. So Archer's been, a dangerous spot in the city. And a few years ago, when we were in the middle of the COVID spike in crashes that, really happened everywhere in the city, the Chicago Department of Transportation identified that there was an especially high spike in Brighton Park, which is one of the neighborhoods along Archer. And they put together a plan to try to reduce that and hopefully reduce that significantly. And so what's happening now is there's been a pretty significant redesign of Archer in Brighton Park, the addition of protected bike lanes, pedestrian islands, bus boarding stations, to try to make it easier for people to cross the street, but also to use other modes of transportation in addition to driving and to make driving safer as well.
That sounds like everything's good.
It is a promising project, but there is some controversy around the project as well. And there's a whole bunch of reasons for that. I think the main thing is that the redesign of Archer in Brighton Park does involve a lane reduction. So Archer was 2 driving lanes in each direction, and it's been taken down to 1 in each direction. There's some caveats to that because there's also the inclusion of a bunch of dedicated left turn lanes that should ease traffic flow. And beforehand, Archer, it varied in width, especially at intersections. So you would get to a lot of intersections as a driver, and I've experienced this while driving, where the 2 driving lanes essentially did pinch down into 1. And so you had people waiting behind parked cars at the right for the entire left traffic lane to clear out before they could come in. And so you saw a lot of side swipes happening in Brighton Park in particular before this project happened. But I think the lane reduction is something that some people have seen and reacted negatively to. I think another big thing is there are really no protected bike lanes to speak of on the southwest side. There are a fair number of protected bike lanes on the north side, northwest side, downtown. These are more affluent areas of Chicago. People are used to it and they understand what it means and what the benefits of a protected bike lane are in those areas. But when construction started in Brighton Park, I think a lot of people saw, oh no, they're going to reduce the amount of driving lanes, and so traffic is going to double. They're going to take parking away, businesses are going to suffer. To that, I would say it's difficult for me to prejudge the project because we are still in the middle of construction. And that's another big reason why a lot of people are justifiably frustrated who live in the area. Construction started early November of last year. There is also concurrently a really extensive water and sewer main project that's happening in the middle of this stretch where the street is being redesigned. So the schedule will have Archer basically under construction for a year and a half. And we're seeing a lot of those aggravations related to that construction. Also, we're not seeing the finished product. At the end of this, Archer is scheduled to be totally repaved, repainted. And I think for a lot of people who are using the street right now, it registers as kind of a mess. So I can understand why people are frustrated, but my hope is that when it is finished, we'll see that there are significant benefits, first and foremost, for people's safety, but also that we have a more walkable, bikeable neighborhood in Brighton Park and on Archer in particular that encourages people to use alternate modes of transportation, to get out of their cars for short trips, see more people on the street, just a better neighborhood vibe, better quality of life, all of that. But that is unfortunately a little ways away because we are still in the middle of construction.
We're hearing about ebikelash everywhere, projects for safe streets go. I want to blame people for trying to dismantle these projects before they even get put in. And I guess our hope is that if we can just get it put in, people will see, like they have before so many times, almost every time, that all of their fears were not based on anything.
Yeah, I think the construction schedule in particular really does no favors to the city and to people who want to support the project and see it through to completion. There are going to be some people who think this is a bad idea and it never should have happened and are trying to reverse it. My hope is that, if the project is successful, if we see fewer crashes, if we see fewer, injuries and people being killed, the benefits of that will outweigh any perceived negatives. And that once construction is cleared up, we'll see the project for what it really was supposed to be. There are a lot of people who have spoken up in support of the project as well. I don't want to leave the impression that it's been universally negative, because there are a lot of people who have been going out for rides, have been rallying in front of the local alderwoman's office, where there have been like dueling rallies on a weekly basis for a number of months now, basically starting when construction started. And there are a ton of people who are supportive who have come out to those rallies, who've said, we need safe streets. And these are people who, live in Brighton Park or live in neighborhoods who are immediately next door. I live in Archer Heights, which is right next door to Brighton Park. There are people who live in neighborhoods like Little Village and Gage Park, McKinley Park, that are coming out in addition to people in Brighton Park. That's another big part of this. We see this as a project that can connect neighborhoods. I can just speak for myself personally. Like, it's so much easier for me to bike into Brighton Park now. And it's something I've been doing a lot more frequently. I would basically never bike on Archer prior to this. And if I wanted to go into Brighton Park, I could take a circuitous route of side streets. It's totally transformational in terms of an experience for people biking. There's also a ton of people who use electric scooters, especially young people. And then, there are people who are out walking and who need to be crossing the street. It's been a better experience for those folks as well. Connecting neighborhoods and making it easier to get into Brighton Park from surrounding neighborhoods, to go and visit friends and family, patronize businesses, all of that, and to make it easier for people in Brighton Park to connect with the neighborhoods next door to them, I think is really beneficial too.
I hope that the project is completed so that people can see the results. And keep up the good work. Dixon, you're with the Southwest Collective.
That's right.
And you all work on things like this?
Yeah. So, our organization does a lot of things. Biking and transit advocacy is only one part, but that tends to be my focus. We've done bike rides around the Southwest side starting in 2020. We've done a whole bunch of them at this point. This month, for Bike Month, we've been doing weekly rides on Archer along the parts of the protected bike lanes that have been completed. And that's been really great. We've done 3 of them so far. We have 2 more to go. We're meeting up every Saturday at McKinley Park and riding out at 10 a.m. They've been small rides. People come in, drop in. We've had new people every week. It's just a chance for people who might be curious about what the lanes are like, the experience of riding in them. It's a good chance to come out and ride in a group. And so we've had a lot of people give very positive feedback about those rides, and we'll keep doing that, and we'll keep encouraging people to, make use of the infrastructure that's been put in place and to hang tight for the project to be finished and hopefully reap some significant benefits for the area.
So if anybody's listening, you're in Chicago, or if you want to even just go into Chicago just to see Archer Avenue's, what's already been put in, maybe hook up with Southwest Collective.
Yeah, we're on Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, and we're around. If you fly into Midway, we're very close to you. We do mutual aid events as well. We've done tree planting, we've done a whole bunch of other things. But yeah, we do bike rides, and we'll keep doing them. It's a good experience for folks in and around the southwest side of Chicago to come out, meet like-minded folks, have a good time with our neighbors, see each other face to face, which is something that we don't get as much of an opportunity to do as we have in the past, and build community together.
Well, thank you, Dixon Galvez-Searle with the Southwest Collective in Chicago, working on Archer Avenue.
Thanks a lot.
I love Chicago. Chicago is a bike town, I think. I hope.
It's getting to be more of a bike town.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Can I jump back in with one more story about a guy I met?
That's what we're here for.
I've been going north, and most people are going south along the coast. And I think south is the better route. North is, the wind is in your face a lot, even though today, when I was able to ride, it was not. But so I met this guy, Jake, who's from LA, which is where I'm from, and he was riding home to LA, and he just had such a great spirit. And we were sitting around, we made a campfire, and we're just sitting around a campfire talking. And that was one of the fun things about being in the hiker and biker spots in these state and national parks.
So this is Jake?
Mm-hmm.
I am heading north. I'm in the Burlington campground, and I run into Jake, who's heading south, also in the Burlington campground, and he's from Los Angeles, and we hit it off right away. Jake, tell me what you're doing, where you're going from, where to where, and how your trip has been.
I started in Vancouver, BC.
Did you train up there?
I flew out to Seattle to see some friends, and I took a really great train that goes from Seattle to the train station in Vancouver.
Okay.
Went north and did a little loop around the Strait of Georgia, and then have been coming south the whole way from Vancouver Island.
And how many days are you in now?
I kind of lost track, but I think it's like around 25.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I love it. I really wake up every day. And
Well, you were saying, I hate to say this, but we recorded stuff earlier, and I completely did not hit record. But you were saying earlier that you get up in the morning after 25 days on the road, and you still feel...
I really do. I swear to God, I feel very excited and lucky every day I wake up. And like, you go through the tedious stuff and the chores and the things, and you pack up, and the second everything's on the bike, and you're like actually riding, it's like, this is so awesome.
Yeah,
I'm so grateful.
It's unique. I mean, I ride in Los Angeles all the time, and I like riding from point A to point B as opposed to just going out and doing a loop or something like that. And this is the ultimate point A to point B,
I completely agree. And I was just thinking about that because I've done a bit of hiking too, and it's like, you talk to other people who do it, and there's like a real affinity for the idea of like, I wake up here, and then I
go to bed
end
someplace
here,
else.
and I'm not like, the moment I'm moving away, like I will not be back here again.
Yeah. This campground that we're in tonight is a little busy.
Yeah.
And the other ones I've been in so far on my trip have been empty. What have the campgrounds and the roads and the traffic been like for you?
So I'll say, because I started, I guess, the very end, last week of April, BC was pretty quiet. I know that it gets quite popular where I was staying around the summer. And so it was kind of nice. Like, it was nice to kind of start and get my legs, like, in a sort of not social setting. And then coming into Oregon, it kind of became a lot more social because it's like, there's a huge culture of cycling.
Right.
There are these hiker-biker sites. And there's a lot of people out camping, like, already in season. So it was a lot more talking to people.
Jake, thanks, man.
Yeah,
I would recommend going south. I think you are doing the right thing.
I think
because
you should talk
I have
about the headwind.
Well, the headwinds of going north have been really tough, really tough. And I knew that going north was going to be tougher.
Yeah.
But that's sort of what I set up for myself. I was going from this point A, my daughters, to point B, my dad, and I chose this route, and I knew it was going to be tough, but it was harder than I thought. How many miles are you getting a day?
In the beginning, it was a lot less. These days, I try to ride between like 50 and 60. I've done a couple 70-mile days.
Yeah.
That's pushing it. 50 is great. It gives you enough time to like be moving and do like 2 side missions if you want to go check stuff out or add on an extra thing. And but I will say, actually, and I wonder if you notice this as you get down your trip. I wish I had something more profound to say after all this time on the road. But the thing that I really come back to is I am so excited that I get to be outside like 15 hours a day.
Yeah.
I wake up and you're biking, or you're on a mission, or you have to get food, or you're trying to do this, or you talk to a stranger and they tell you to go check this out, and then you're racing the light, even though the sun sets at 8:30.
I know,
and then you get in bed and it's like, wow, 15 hours have gone by.
Yeah. It's really great. That's one of the things I was worried about being outdoors, 15, 16 hours a day, and then those other 8 or whatever being in a small little tent.
Yep.
It's really great to run into you. You've got a great spirit. Hopefully we will see each other in Los Angeles.
I would love that.
Riding around one time. And Jake, really good to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. Shout out to KPFK. Shout out to Bike Talk.
So you're meeting people. It's amazing how that happens.
And if we have time at the end of the show, because I know you got something up next about San Francisco.
Yeah. You got another one.
Yeah.
We'll play that. But right now, there's a panel we did of bike advocates in San Francisco. It's with Robin Pam, co-founder of KidSafe SF, now with Streets for All San Francisco. They are expanding Streets for All.
Right.
And we've talked to
Well, remember, we had Robin on when she first joined Streets for All.
also before that when she was doing Slow Streets.
Right.
And she is with Claire Amable, the San Francisco Bike Coalition Director of Advocacy, and Brett Thurber, owner of New Wheel, which is an electric bike retailer in the Bay Area in San Francisco. And they talk about how things are going in San Francisco. Because we heard that it's not going as like it should, or...
Well, I think people have been a little bit disappointed with the mayor. And the council member who did Sunset Beach was recalled. And he was also on the show talking about his recall and about his support for Sunset Beach, which is that part of the highway along the western side of San Francisco that they turned into a park. And now they want to turn it back into a highway.
Joel Engardio.
Joel Engardio. Very good. Wow.
Well, I Googled it.
Oh.
but that's fair.
Yeah.
And so here's Robin Pam with Claire Amable and Brett Thurber on how things are going in San Francisco.
So we're on with Robin Pam, who we've talked to before from San Francisco, now with Streets for All, formerly with Kids Safe SF, done a lot of bike advocacy, had a lot of successes. Now I'm hearing that there are some challenges in San Francisco, some ebikelash. So I wanted to check in with Robin, and Robin has brought two compatriots. Robin, you want to introduce yourself and your guests?
Thank you, Nick. We're so excited to be here. I'm here with Claire Amable, the Director of Advocacy from the San Francisco Bicycle Coalition, and also Brett Thurber, who is the owner of the New Wheel, an electric bike shop here in San Francisco. As Nick said, we have been seeing a lot of success in San Francisco and in California over the past few years when it comes to the growth in biking and the uptick in people biking and rolling in the city. We've had a few policy victories in creating some car-free streets and spaces, making our Slow Streets program permanent here in San Francisco. And over the last year or so, we've also seen a little bit of slowing of the progress in how the city is responding to the growth in biking. And then at the same time, at the state level, as e-bikes have taken off, we've seen more backlash to e-bikes and kind of a growing movement to create more safety standards around e-bikes, create more regulation that reins in what some of the perceived safety problems are. So welcome, Brett and Claire. I'd love to hear a little bit about how you would describe the state of biking and rolling in San Francisco and California. Maybe Claire, you can give us a little bit of San Francisco, and then Brett, let's talk about California.
Thanks, Robin, and thanks for the invite to come and join. I would say that the state of biking and rolling in San Francisco in this moment is a little slow, despite, we just celebrated maybe one of the best bike to wherever days in the 6 years that I've been at the Bike Coalition last Thursday, where we learned that biking and rolling in San Francisco is actually up by 32% this year as opposed to last year. And I think that's something that you can also feel when you're out in the streets in SF, riding around. You just see more people riding bikes. And you also notice that traffic is also up. And despite both of these things, maybe only a mile of protected bike infrastructure was built in the last year.
So biking and rolling is up 32%, and yet the infrastructure is not keeping up. Brett, what are you seeing at the state level? Is biking and rolling up 32% at the state level too? How do you think about the growth of bikes from your vantage point as a bike shop owner?
We really sell locally. So we sell in San Francisco, Oakland, and Marin is our primary market. So I could speak anecdotally to the statewide. Our growth has been phenomenal the last few years. San Francisco sales this year were up about 30% over last year. So, the future is waiting to be born. And that's the political side of things. So on the customer and rider side, people are there already. If you live in the Sunset in the Richmond district in San Francisco, which is right adjacent to all the car-free JFK and Sunset Dunes, which is the new park along what once was called the Great Highway, those people are they're so lucky and they're recognizing it more and more. So we're getting so many customers from that area just because the infrastructure has gotten so good. And the other thing that I noticed going up to Sacramento now a few times fighting these bad e-bike bills is that, the legislators and their aides actually get it too, more than I would have thought. A lot of them ride e-bikes. A lot of the beach community, I've been down to Southern California and Santa Barbara and Los Angeles and it's booming there. It's a different type of e-bike culture, but it's pretty broad-based. And even on the assembly member side, they're riding bikes and their aides are riding bikes. And, I met multiple aides when I was in the Capitol who ride bikes to work in Sacramento. So we're winning more than we know. Even in San Francisco, it's a perfect example. The leadership of San Francisco, a lot of the leadership in City Hall, they get it and they ride bikes. We just did a test ride with the head of MTA who's looking at getting a bike. And that's the important thing. It's the intellectual side of this is not all that interesting. The actual lived experience and actually doing it yourself is where it really makes a difference. So, we're lucky here in San Francisco where the constituency is built up to such an extent that we're so close to a big change, but we just have to organize better to make it happen.
Yeah.
And it's the same in Sacramento. The reason we were pretty successful and what I heard from legislators is like they got scared. We have a bigger constituency than we know. And that's the beauty of e-bikes in general, is like it's something for every single person. Like it's different than the bike culture of the past. Like we can speak to everybody. You know, there's only a few things that stop people from riding it. It's personal safety issues or their perceived personal safety. Then there's the long distances some people have to travel to get to work, or lots of stuff they have to carry if you're in the trades or something like that. But besides that, like we're there.
You're both talking about how people are ready for bikes. There's a lot more biking and rolling happening. It's in San Francisco, it's in LA, it's in Southern California. And yet at the same time, Claire, over the past year in San Francisco, we have seen the mayor start to bring back cars to Market Street, which was a hard-won advocacy battle that took over 10 years to create a car-free Market Street in the city. We saw our supervisor in the Sunset District get recalled last year for supporting the creation of Sunset Dunes, which was the former Great Highway. And we've only seen 1 mile of protected bike lane get built since the city passed a new bike plan last spring. So what do you think is going on here? What is happening that even though more and more people are riding bikes, I think in one city study, it was up to 10% of people ride a bike almost every day. Why do you think we're seeing such slow action by the city and such a harsh reaction to the increase in biking here in San Francisco?
I'll start this by saying that I think that people are really attached to parking spots. I also think, when it comes to bike projects, it's a very physical change to a street, and then that gets associated with like every awful thing that happens after that. And so it's really easy to point to like, this physical thing happened and now I cannot do X, Y, and Z. And I think we see that in many places across San Francisco. People are also getting really organized and like understand how their organization can delay or like stall things from happening. We're experiencing an uptick in people biking, but also like in traffic and congestion on our streets. And we're like back to pre-pandemic levels of traffic, despite not even making like a full recovery yet as a city. It's just a really tense time for all of these things.
Tell us a little bit more about what's been happening with Market Street and how you see that as kind of a symbol for this tension that we're seeing.
The San Francisco Bicycle Coalition, along with Robin and support from Brett and the New Wheel and other advocacy groups prior to the pandemic, worked pretty tirelessly for like almost 15 years to get a car-free Market Street. And before it was car-free, Market Street was just one of the worst places to ride a bike and even walk on, despite it being like the transit spine and the commercial corridor of our city. It averaged like 82 traffic collisions and fatalities a year, and it housed like 5 of our 10 most dangerous intersections. And so the San Francisco Bicycle Coalition and like many other street advocacy groups worked really hard with legislators, with businesses along the corridor to make car-free Market, which went into effect January of 2020. Awful timing. And so for 5 years, we had this street that was kind of just incredible to walk and bike on, but also during the pandemic, there wasn't much going on. And so last year in April, the mayor invited autonomous vehicle companies and the most expensive like ride hailing services to operate and do pickup and drop off on Market Street under the guise of economic revitalization. Many people and advocates reacted very strongly to that, mostly because we were like, people need a reason to come downtown, and this isn't fixing that specific problem. And so Streets for All SF, us, Walk San Francisco, as transit riders, we came together to respond to that as the Keep Market Street Moving Alliance, which includes 20 other organizations. And we responded to that with petitions and action, saying that this is not what is going to bring Market Street back. And we've been kind of fighting it ever since. And what we're seeing on the street now is that there's just a lot of confusion amongst drivers who think that, because they see like said vehicle on Market Street, that they can now drive on it. And that's the experience that many people on bikes and people walking are presented on Market Street. You can't open the corridor for a select few and not expect everyone else to come.
So it sounds like even though there's movement to try to put cars back on this car-free street, even though we've seen slower progress in San Francisco, the tide is turning. The practicalities of how the streets operate are eventually going to move in the right direction.
We need to take the lead now. We're so on the defensive always. In the bike and in our world, it's always defensive. It's always fighting what someone else is deciding is the prerogative. Our mayor in San Francisco, wants to kind of go back to 2019 and keep things very even keel, pass certain bills that he thinks are really required to be passed and without rocking anyone's boat. And the lesson of all of this is like, we need to be more on the offensive and actually setting the terms of the debate, because we do have the constituency on our side and we are the future of transportation in California. So we're going to have to start acting like it, in my opinion.
And Brett, tell us a little bit more about what happened over the past month in Sacramento. Because last year, New Jersey passed a law requiring license and registration and insurance for Class 2 and 3 e-bikes. It's made it very difficult for bike shops and people who ride in that state to even access new e-bikes. And last week, we avoided a similar fate here in California. So tell us about those bills and how you think we avoided that and what comes next.
AB 1557 was going to basically blow up California's e-bike class system by changing the rules on Class 1 and Class 2, which are the low-speed e-bikes. It was pretty scary, existentially scary. I knew for both the industry in California and for our business and for our riders. So, we really rallied our newsletter list and all of our customers, and also worked to start rallying a lot of the brands, because it felt like we were on the back foot here. And we were up against the medical associations, which were lobbying in favor of this, thinking that this was going to solve a problem, which is a real problem in California, that there are kids getting hurt on e-bikes, but there's not very much evidence about exactly why and what types of devices those kids are riding. And then when you step back and you look at where they're riding, it's the same problem that we've been talking about forever, which is that these kids are being forced to ride in substandard conditions and keep themselves safe. So we started going up there and talking to assembly members and their staff, and really trying to explain the issues, and really leaning in, also talking to the people who were promoting these bills. So, the medical associations, and really going more on the proactive, offensive, to try to at least start the dialogue and really understand, where is this coming from? From what I've heard, the legislators heard it loud and clear that this was not the hill to die on. The bills died in Appropriations Committee, which is where they figure out the finance of how these bills would affect California, which was a huge win. And so we were up there last Monday, and the conversation last Monday, because we had already won, was a lot different, which is okay, what do we do to actually move the ball forward and actually make kids safe through infrastructure improvements, through e-bike incentives? And how do we do the work to educate legislators to really understand what these bikes are and the huge potential that they have in light of all the challenges we have in California with affordability, climate change, pollution, all the things that no one likes. I mean, that's what was amazing to me, is we have such a winning argument. It's not like we're trying to sell cigarettes to children. We're selling affordable transportation that is healthy and deals with mental health. It's the most winning argument you can possibly have. That's where we're at.
Great. Well, thank you both. It sounds like even though there have been some temporary setbacks over the last year and some difficulty working through misconceptions about the types of people who bike, how these devices work, even though we still face problems in the way that people think about bikes and challenges there are reasons to be optimistic. And the future is looking bright with all the people who are biking, all the new types of people getting brought in by e-bikes, and this new constituency that is building for better infrastructure and better cities and better regulation of the emerging industry. So thank you both for sharing those experiences.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robin.
Well, I like to hear things about San Francisco because that's where I started the trip. And I didn't know about this, but there are these hiker-biker sites at most state and national parks where you don't need to make a reservation. You just can get in at any time, and they put you all in a little area. And so you get to see who else is hiking or biking in the area. And the other night, there was a hiker and a biker in the area with me, and we started talking. And so this is Lars and Hugh talking about the trip and why we do what we do.
All right, cool.
I am in Humbug State Park. And one of the great things about hiker-biker traveling is you can just check in to any campground, even if it's full, and they have a place for you. But at Humbug, the places are really good. And I got to meet a couple of people who are also traveling by foot and by bike, who are staying in the hiker-biker sites. One is Lars, and he's hiking, and the other is Hugh, and he's biking. Hey, you guys, thank you for giving me a little bit of your time to tell me about what the hell you're doing. So, Lars, let's start with you. What the hell are you doing, man?
Hiking the Oregon Coast Trail.
Wow, by yourself?
Yep.
And I'm guessing you're 25?
No, I'm like 35.
Oh, 35. Okay, good. So you're taking a couple of months of your life and you're hiking the trail, right?
Yeah, and then I'm hiking the Bigfoot Trail and part of the Pacific Crest Trail. So there's still like 800 miles after this trail.
So what keeps you doing it? What makes you do it?
When I'm not working, I just prefer to either be biking across the country or hiking somewhere. So I usually just switch up what I'm doing, and this year's lean more toward hiking than biking places.
And you said because you don't like traffic.
A little bit. I've kind of been doing a thing where I'm trying to save up money because I want to do like one of those people that do a big bike tour around the world, but do it in like a fun way. It's like, staying with Warm Showers hosts and getting seasonal gigs in other countries.
Right.
So that's what I really want to do, because I've done most of like the northern tier, the west coast, the southern tier, and then like parts of the Transamerica and other little routes. And after several years of doing it, like I haven't done a bunch of long distance single track, but like gravel riding and whatnot, definitely I think feels a lot better, because it kind of just feels kind of like gambling after a while.
God, you're not kidding.
Because it feels like I'll be like on a bike tour, and then I'll see another bike tourist on Instagram that got hit by a car or something. It's just like, when is it my day, And so
I think about that all the time. Hugh, you and I were talking earlier about the 101 and the traffic on the 101. You don't seem as bothered by it as I do, but tell me what you're doing and then your thoughts on traffic.
I'm riding from Seattle to central Southern California, probably San Luis Obispo, over a few weeks. And I've wanted to do the coast route for a long time.
Right.
It's sort of an iconic bike ride. I've done it many times in the car, but things always look different from a bike. And all these viewpoints I probably pulled off on before, but somehow when you've ridden it up to the top of the hill yourself, you feel different about it. I like doing it because it gets me sort of out of a very comfortable rut at home and retirement, and it's fun to get out and do these kinds of things. They're a little difficult, and sometimes I wonder why I'm doing them, but I always am glad that I did them.
We call that type 2 fun.
Yes.
Where it's not really fun always in the moment, but looking back on it, it was fun.
Right, very much so, very much so. But
what we want to stay away from is type 3 fun, which is not fun.
That's right. But I've done some long-distance rides in the Rockies on gravel, mainly on gravel at least. And I like them. You don't think about cars. You don't listen to the cars. You don't
listen
hear the
great.
Cars. I like to go interesting places in the bike, and some of those interesting places are places that have roads and a lot of traffic. I spend a lot of time trying to figure out which sections I want to avoid and what I'm going to do.
Using Ride GPS, using adventure cycling, using Camoose.
Just whatever I can find.
Okay.
You read about these things and you see someone posting something online about that bridge into North Bend, Oregon, and you say, geez, that's going to be a mess. And it is. And
I'm gonna be on that bridge.
You're beyond that in a day or two, maybe. And depends on what the time of day, and you can walk your bike on the sidewalk, and it's not really that bad. And if it's not Saturday afternoon, Memorial Day weekend, you might actually be able to ride across.
Okay.
There's lights blinking for you, but everyone's comfortable with different levels of stuff.
Well, that's one of the things I like about the three of us talking is we compare a lot of notes. And I'm on day 9 now, and you're on day
7.
And you're on like 2 months.
Yeah, well, on this trail, it's more like 20-something days.
Oh, okay. So a month a month.
Well, so I started June 1st. It was the first day on trail. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But still, that's a long time.
Yeah.
But I think we all have different perspectives on dealing with what we're looking for, whether it's hiking or biking or whether it's the kind of route we're on. Different perspectives on traffic to some degree. I went into this route knowing there were going to be a lot of cars on 101,
right.
knowing I would not do the route in June and July to the degree I could. I was doing it in May or September.
Right.
I knew Memorial Day weekend was going to be crowded.
Right. From my vantage point, it has not been that bad. To me, the problem is the road itself. All of a sudden, you go from a 10-foot shoulder to absolutely no shoulder at all. And it's on a climb where we can't hide. We have to be there. And so I find myself waving my arm at cars behind me. I have 2 lights. I have a flag. I wear a vest. I'm lit up like a Christmas tree. It makes me feel like we're not doing justice to other people who want to use the coast besides just cars by having an environment that is just not safe for bikers. It's a little silly. I mean, we are taking, I think, our lives in our hands a little bit.
I understand the risks. There's definitely a challenge to these, but I guess I'm a little more pragmatic in that I'm not quite sure what that solution is. And
better bike infrastructure along the coast of California and Oregon.
I can see where, but I'm again, the pragmatic side of me says there's some places where you can spend $1,000 or $1 million and you can get a big improvement. Right. There are some places where you can pay tens of millions of dollars and you're not going to be able to make a dent in the nature of the problem.
Right, okay.
Because of just the legacy of how things have developed or the geography of the landscape.
Okay. That makes good sense. Hang on. I want to get Lars really quick. Yeah. As a hiker, you stay away from cars.
Well, so I've also biked this route a few different ways, but so I know what the cars are like. Hiking the Oregon Coast Trail is a lot different because you're mostly doing, you walk 10 miles on a beach, and then you might walk roads through a town, be on the highway across the bridge, and then you go to the next beach or trail or something. Right. And it's a lot of that, so you get more time away from traffic. And then when you are on the roads, actually, I think it's kind of actually safer than on a bike because a lot of times I'm on the gravel on the side
all the way over, right?
Yeah. And so, and then sometimes walking against traffic for some of it, and so like,
and I have done that. I've ridden my bike against traffic. Do you ever do that at all or not?
No.
Okay,
I'd be very apprehensive about doing that.
Yeah, I've only done it in a couple of spots, but they were spots where I didn't feel comfortable going with traffic because of the narrowness of the shoulder or the angle of the hill or something like that. Well, I want to end it, but I think you guys are great, and I love the aspect that we're sitting here talking about all of this while we're all doing it. I think that's really great. Lars, where are you from?
Oklahoma.
And where are you ultimately going?
Well, I'm hoping to hike at least the PCT down through the Sierras. I think that'd be a good spot to end the hike. And then after that, it just really kind of depends. If I feel tired of adventure to find a job or go visit family, or, I've also got thoughts about going and hiking the Colorado Trail right afterwards. It just depends on what the fire season's like.
Wow.
I post some stuff on social media. It's Lars Goes Far on mostly Instagram and TikTok, but I'm on other things. But
great. And I'm TaylorNichols.BikeLife.
I was actually going to mention, because you were talking about infrastructure, is that you'll experience it on your way south, and maybe you saw some of it, was they recently announced that they're building a bike-only trail from Eureka, California, down to San Francisco.
Oh, wow. No, I have not heard that. I have ridden on parts of it probably, but not the whole thing, no.
If you went through like Eureka, you probably saw like brand new, nice stuff.
I did.
Most of the times I've done bike tours, that's all been torn up and in construction. But apparently they're planning to stretch that all the way down. So there is, at least in some areas, there's like plans of developing it more into something.
Wow, well, that's huge. I think that would be a game changer, because Eureka is a little bit of a hard scrabble town. And, the more investment we have in a city like that, the better. Hugh, where are you from, and where are you ultimately going?
I'm from Seattle. I left a week ago. I've got a train ticket with my bike back from San Luis Obispo in about 3 weeks.
Right, okay.
And so my goal was to take a little more than 3 weeks and do this trip and then go back to the comforts of regular routine in life.
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you all very much both for talking on Bike Talk.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
The hiker was Lars, right?
Lars, right.
He said he had like 800 miles to go.
Yeah. He came down the next morning. We had coffee and we talked a little more. He has been all over on foot and on bike.
And he just goes and gets jobs where, I mean, you read about these people.
Yeah. And now you're hearing about him.
and you meet him. I've met him too, but that seems so raw.
It is. But he was knowledgeable about the routes and he was interesting. And we had a good talk, I thought.
Yeah. Good show.
Absolutely. I have to thank Sherry one more time, my guardian angel, for helping me today because it was really above and beyond the call of duty. But I also want to thank Jake Hess, Henry, the Good Samaritan, and Lars and Hugh.
There was also Robin Pam, Claire Amable, and Brett Thurber, and Dixon Galvez-Searle.
All right. And we always want to thank our regulars, Julie Richard, Josh Haglund, Kevin Burton, Lindsay Sturman, Stacey Randecker, and Amy Ziering.
Do you have a quote?
Just going back to Lindsay's quote, bikers are the best people.
Yeah.
And yours?
Yeah, I just want to play a quote from Brett Thurber from San Francisco.
We are the future of transportation in California. So we have to start acting like it.
We got to act like it.
Yeah.
We got to be proactive.
And to me, that means riding your bike.
Yeah. Thanks for representing, Taylor.
Thank you, Nick. Good show.
Ride safe. Did it again.
That was perfect. Cool, man.
This episode of Bike Talk is sponsored by the law offices of Pocrast and De Los Reyes, with offices in Los Angeles and Bakersfield and serving all of Southern California.
Bike Talk is a project of CRSP and the Los Angeles Eco-Village Institute. And that was Bike Talk. If you have a story, a tip, or a topic, head over to biketalk.org and send us a message. Talk again next week.
Get on your bike, sit on the seat, put your feet on the pedals, and run around. Get that car out of my way, I wanna ride my bike today. Keep me fit, get me there, I won't go stinking up the alley behind the daily grind. Let your mind unwind, if it's life, pretend to life, better get yourself a bike. Get yourself a bike. Oh, 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 get yourself a bike.